Hello and welcome to Lantern Lane Stories. Tonight's story is Charles Bridge and the Golden Plaque. It is a cold, quiet night in Prague. The Vltava River flows slowly beneath the city. It smells of wet stone and deep water. A pale moon slides behind the clouds, and there, stretching wide across the river, is a very old bridge. Its name is Charles Bridge. "Hello," the bridge says very softly. "I have been here for over 600 years. The bridge is made of gray stone. 16 thick arches hold it above the water. It stretches 516 meters from bank to bank. That is as long as 5 football fields, one after another. For a long time, people just called it the Stone Bridge. Plain and simple, nothing more. Then, in 1870, they gave it a proper name. They named it after the king who first dreamed of building it, Charles Roman IV. Now it is Charles Bridge, and it will always be Charles Bridge. I have carried everyone," the bridge says warmly. Merchants with heavy carts, children on their way to school, monks, musicians, travelers from faraway lands. Every single one of them crossed over me. A church bell rings somewhere up in the city. One low note rolls across the dark water. The bridge settles quietly, the way very old things do. Now close your eyes and travel back to 1357. Prague was smaller then. The streets were muddy. The river smelled of fish, but the city was growing fast and it needed a new bridge. The old wooden one had rotted and fallen apart. A great king rode to the riverbank to fix that. His name was Charles Roman IV. He was king of Bohemia and emperor of the Holy Roman Empire. That meant he ruled a huge piece of Europe. Charles was no ordinary king. He loved books and stars and the mystery of numbers. He believed that certain moments in time had special power, so he studied his charts very carefully. He picked one very specific moment to lay the first stone. July 9th, 1357, 5:31 in the morning. Why that strange exact time? Look at the numbers, Charles told his builders. 1, 3, 5, 7, 5, 3, 1. Read those numbers forward. Now read them backward. They are exactly the same. A number that reads the same both ways is called a palindrome. Charles believed this magical symmetry would protect his bridge forever. The sun had not yet risen when the masons gathered at the riverbank. The air was cold and smelled of morning mist. Charles himself stepped forward. He placed the first rough stone block into the river. Then the hammers began to ring. For nearly 50 years, the bridge grew slowly. Workers hauled sandstone blocks from quarries far away. They mixed lime, water, and sand into mortar. Old stories even say they stirred in egg whites for extra strength. By around the year 1400, the bridge stood complete, 10 meters wide, 16 arches, solid and strong. The first feet clicked across the new stone. Charles himself never heard that sound. He had died in 1378. But his bridge was alive, and it has been alive ever since. For many years, the bridge stood bare. Just gray stone and open sky. Beautiful, but very quiet. Then an age arrived that loved grand, dramatic art. It was called the Baroque age. Artists carved things that swept and curved and seemed almost alive. In 1683, the first statue arrived on Charles Bridge. Workers carried it carefully across the cobblestones. They lifted it into place on the low stone railing. It was a tall figure in flowing robes, gazing out over the river. "I remember that morning," the bridge says. "The cold air, the smell of fresh-cut sandstone. Workers calling to each other in Czech and German. More statues came, one by one, year after year. By 1714, 30 saints stood along the bridge. 30 pale sandstone figures, each full of its own story. Some saints hold books. Some hold crosses or bunches of flowers. One raises a hand, as if giving a quiet blessing. They stand on both sides, watching the river pass below. Who are these saints? They were brave, real people from history. People who helped others and stood firm when things were very hard. Each statue is like a small chapter in a long book. The whole bridge is a library, open to the sky. Many of the statues you see today are careful copies. The real originals have been moved safely inside museums. Rain and cold wind wear sandstone down over the centuries, but copies or original, each figure still carries its story. On sunny days, musicians play out on the bridge. Their melodies drift between the stone saints. Pigeons land on broad stone shoulders. The saints do not mind at all. Now I must tell you about one statue in particular. It was the very first one placed on the bridge in 1683, the one with the golden plaque. It shows a man in a long robe. His head is tilted gently, as if listening. Around his head, 5 golden stars form a halo. Those stars belong to Saint John of Nepomuk. John was a real person. He was born sometime around 1340 in a small village called Nepomuk. He grew up and became a priest, then an important priest, vicar general of the Archbishop of Prague. Back then, Prague was ruled by King Wenceslas Roman IV. The king had a quick temper and a suspicious mind. John was trusted by the queen. She would come to him and speak the things on her heart. A priest listens and keeps secrets. That is a sacred promise. One day, the king summoned John to his chamber. The room was cold and smelled of candle smoke. "Tell me what the queen has confessed to you," said the king. His voice was flat and very hard. John stood very still. "I cannot tell you that," he said quietly. "It is a secret, a sacred secret." The king stepped closer. "I am your king," he said. John looked at him without flinching. "And I am her priest," John said. The king's face went red. He ordered John to be taken away. On the night of March 20th, 1393, the river ran black and cold. John was brought to the middle of Charles Bridge. The wind cut sharp across the stone. He was thrown over the railing. He fell into the dark Vltava below. People say that 5 small lights appeared above the water that night. They floated softly like stars that had come down to earth. Then, one by one, they were gone. John died in the river, but he never told the secret. Over the next centuries, people remembered his courage. In 1729, the Catholic Church declared him a saint, Saint John of Nepomuk. The 5 stars on his halo are those 5 lights from the river. Some say they also stand for the Latin word for silence. Tacui, I kept silent. At the base of his statue, there is a small bronze plaque. It shows the moment John fell from the bridge, but you can barely see the picture anymore. Millions of hands have touched that plaque. Travelers, pilgrims, children, grandparents, pressing their palms to the cool metal. The bronze has worn smooth as glass. It has gone from dark brown to bright, warm gold. Touch it, people whisper to each other. Touch it, and your wish will come true. Touch it, and you will always find your way back to Prague. If you ever stand on Charles Bridge and reach down to that bright golden spot, you are touching the same place as all those millions of hands before you. All their hopes, all their wishes, worn into the warm metal. A secret made of gold. The night grows deep and still over Prague. The Vltava moves softly under the 16 arches. 30 stone saints stand in the dark, facing the river. John of Nepomuk stands among them, his 5 stars still. The golden plaque glows faintly in the moonlight. Somewhere on the bridge, a small hand reaches out. Small fingers press gently against the warm gold, eyes close. A wish forms, unspoken, kept safe inside. A secret just like John's. The bridge listens, the way it has listened for 668 years. One more secret is just fine. And so, Prague also slowly fell asleep. Good night.